Chapter 11 Uchiha is trash. Practice all afternoon. During the period, Jingyi didn't deliberately say much, and only opened his mouth to give pointers when Mitekai asked, and Mayday was still doing push-ups at first, and followed up with them. Brother Kanda, can we still exercise together tomorrow? Tomorrow I have a class in the afternoon, maybe I will exercise in the morning, and I can exercise together in the morning. Kanda Keiichi said, yes, Kanda-sensei, thank you very much. Kai, look, there are still teachers who won't mind you, this is youth. Father, Maddie burst into tears. Afterwards, the father and son hugged and cried. Although it is only a physical technique, it has a different meaning to them. Before, no one would care about them, but Jingyi didn't dislike it, and was willing to share the physical skills he researched with them. Although it may not be useful, they were moved. Jingyi was silent, not knowing what to say. These two fathers and sons. Wonderful, but just as great. As a 10-year-old forbearance, Mayday has always been ridiculed by others, but he secretly practiced the 8-door Dunjia formation. The most valuable thing is that his intention is to protect. In the end, Dai also lived up to his own words. Opened 8 doors, protected Kai and the other 2 children, and also kicked 4 of the 7 to death. Practitioner of the true will of fire. Not to mention, Kai almost kicked out the finale. K, father, quote. Forget it, let's go. Otherwise, there will be a feeling of shattered image. Hyungsu left silently. He glanced at the system panel, and a prompt flashed on it. Open black lens bracket complete the teaching of physical skills. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation. Good. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket award. 1. 8 gates Dunjia, Shungman. 2. 7 days of phrase third activity. The host can choose one of them. Close black lens bracket. Choose a reward. Hyungsu was a little surprised. Is it because there are masters like Mad Dai among those being taught? Difficult to judge. We can make further observations later, but for now, we are still pondering which one to choose. Both are strong. 8. Jingyi yearns for the style of that kick in the comics. But first of all, there are channels to learn the 8 doors Dunjia, and secondly, the difficulty of opening the first 3 doors is not high. In contrast, the 7-day call. This is Ziluo's original body technique, which no one knows except him, and at present, Ziluo herself is estimated to have just been born not long ago. It can be said, this is the only one in the ninja world. Thinking of this, he has made a decision in his heart. System, I choose to call for 7 days. Open black lens bracket received successfully. Close black lens bracket. The next moment, in Jingyi's mind, the method of using the 7-day call method appeared. From the first activity to the third activity, everything is available. Jing adjusted his breathing rate according to the first active method. Soon, he felt the difference. However, the number of cell divisions is limited, and the 7-day call, like other ninjutsu techniques that stimulate cells, has defects that may reduce lifespan. But the life force of Shinsho blood is stronger. Like Tsunade's 100 Heroes technique, it also consumes life force to speed up the healing, but after using it so many times, it is still more vigorous than anyone else. Secondly, in the future, intercolumn cells can be transplanted to replace the vitality of their own cells. So, this is not a big problem. After getting acquainted with their father and son, you can also exchange the 8 armors. Perfect. Jingyi praised himself in his heart. That's what makes the most of it. The next day, he really got up early, ready to go out to exercise, and the shadow clones responsible for staying at home stayed. Seriously, this stuff. As soon as Jing went out, he soon met Mad Dai and his son. Exercise in the morning. This time Jingyi didn't get any reward, because everyone was just exercising together and didn't communicate much. However, the attitude of Maddie and his son towards him was obviously different. Dai even wanted to introduce his green leather jacket. Certainly, Jingyi decisively refused. Too ugly. Let him wear this kind of thing to school. I'm afraid that the teachers and students will laugh to death, and the majesty that he has finally accumulated will disappear in an instant. Kanda Kyoichi, Fuyu, this person must have been sent by the 3rd generation, really ulterior motives. Ji Shui skips classes every day and has a bad reputation. Fuyu, you must take care of it, otherwise our Uchiha genius will be abolished. At the end of the war, the ninjas of the Uchiha clan gradually returned from the front line, and the clan elders who had previously expressed their opinions on Shisui's recent behavior came to Fuyu's house one after another. Shisui has been widely expected since childhood. The so-called admission is just a pretense. In fact, Uchiha's internal idea is very simple. Let Shisui go to the ninja school for a few months, and then directly apply for early graduation, and the guards in the Wei tribe are trained. Shengen led the team. Nothing compares to his own family. But, Shisui's behavior now is somewhat deviating from their plan. There was a commotion around, and Fuyu frowned, wanting to get angry but helpless. These are the elders of the clan. All of them are highly respected, and even he is widely constrained in the clan, and he cannot display all his ideas, so even if there is fire in his heart, he can only endure it. After taking a deep breath, he opened his mouth and said, whether this person is from the 3 generations faction or not, otherwise, which elder will talk to the 3 generations? This, as soon as it was mentioned who to talk to, everyone suddenly became miserable. Talk, how to talk. The 3 generations seem to be easy to talk to, but they are actually soft knives, and there is a sinister Danzo behind them. If they are asked to chat with the 3 generations, they will not go. The atmosphere was instantly silent. Fuyu sighed and said, I'll talk to Zishui about this matter. All the clan elders should leave if it's okay. In fact, he knew a lot of news. Kanda Keiichi. The descendants of the Chinsho family. In addition, this person seems to have awakened his bloodline, and his strength has grown rapidly recently. When he returned to the village, the 3 generations also mentioned that he intended to promote Kanda Jingyi to Shengen. From this, it can be seen that Kanda Keiichi is likely to be a person of 3 generations. To talk, Fuyu sighed helplessly, glanced at the child who was still learning to walk, took a breath, and then went out. Go to ninja school. He wanted to see what happened to Shisui now. Ninja school. All children stand on the drill field. The 3-body technique has been tested. Basically, the students are proficient. Many children just didn't have the chance to have access to this kind of knowledge. It's not that their talents are really bad. With the guidance of family children like Asuma, they quickly followed. Now Jingyi is about to fulfill his promise and teach the blinking technique. The shunjutsu itself is AD level ninjutsu, but it will still be used until the last Chunin. How well you use it depends on the details. In our class, the best use of the body snap technique is Shisui. Shisui, you should take a look first. Beijing is named. The current Zishui has not yet reached the point of instant body stop water, but he has already shown a certain talent, and the instant body technique makes it the best in the class. Even the mixed senior students can't compare. Jingyi asked him to come closer, and then, whoosh. As soon as the wind blew, he instantly appeared in another position. Chapter 12 What is the will of fire? This is, so fast. Shisui exclaimed. He thought that the teacher might be very powerful, but he never thought that Jingyi's instant body technique was so fast that he almost didn't need the seal, and it could be said that there was no sign when it was activated. Just now, he hardly felt any chakra fluctuations. This means, if Jingyi lurks in the dark and suddenly rushes out to kill him, he may not have time to prepare. Amazing. The other students were also amazed. They don't understand, but, soon, it's almost impossible to see clearly, almost equivalent to teleportation. Shisui, you can demonstrate to everyone, yes. Stop the water and say nothing, sealed with both hands, mobilized chakra, and then flashed behind Jingyi. But, his speed was obviously much slower. It seems that the difference is not big, but in fact, you can tell the difference at a glance. Do you understand? Yes, Shiranui Genma nodded excitedly. He got it, the same as the instant body technique, the details of chakra mobilization and seal are different. It seems to be only a tiny difference, but in actual combat, the gap is huge, and it is likely to determine the success or failure of the fight or even life and death. What I'm teaching today is the details of the instant body technique. Jing began to tell many details inside. The eyes of all the commoner children shone, including the small family children like Shiranui Genma, because although what Jingyi said was not a secret technique, it was extremely precious to those who had difficulty accessing higher-end knowledge. Asuma listened from below, but there was a lot of confusion in her heart. Teacher, why? How does a family make a family? It is these skills and secret techniques, but in the ninja school, Jingyi gave his own insights and understandings to students for free, no less than passing on the foundation of the family to others. This is not reasonable. Asuma at this time was not the one who had returned from the daimyo side and realized the true meaning of jade. He was confused, full of doubts and curiosity. In Asuma's point of view, normal people will use these skills to strengthen their families, rather than sharing them with others like they are now. After a class, Asuma class did not listen to much. The war is coming to an end, and the ninjas are returning to the village one after another. Everyone may be divided into classes again. According to the grades, there are not many opportunities to study together in the future. Jingyi said with emotion, in fact, these skills are outside the curriculum, and I could not teach them. Quote exclamation mark quote. Hearing this sentence, Asuma pricked up his ears instantly. That's right, he is curious. Not only him, many children are curious, including Shisui. But there have been frequent wars in recent years. The war with Sandian village ended this year. No one knows the situation in the coming year. My parents died on the battlefield very early, and I was fortunate enough to survive some accidents. Many of you will graduate this year, and I hope you will survive. Disperse. Jingyi waved his hand, indicating that everyone can leave. But, all the children did not leave, and everyone vaguely understood the situation. The teacher may be leaving. As Jingyi said, this class was mixed up because of the lack of ninja teachers in the state of war. Now that the war is over, it is naturally no longer as mixed up as before. And, as powerful as a teacher, it's definitely impossible to really be a teacher. Maybe there's already a Shengen appointment. Kurenai Yuhi said in a low voice from behind. Her father was the one who instructed Chunin and Genin, and with his eyes and ears, Hong Yuhi knew very well what the strength of a normal Chunin was. It is impossible for the village to have a Junin idol. Especially in wartime, Asuma was extremely shocked. He thought of his father's words, will of fire. What is the will of fire? Perhaps this behavior of teacher Jingyi is the will of fire. You little brats, don't guess, let's break up, don't forget to exercise after class, and check your progress next time. These words, Jingyi also thought of saying it temporarily. First, let's talk about some of the hard words. Second he wanted to test whether the reward on the system side was related to the psychological feedback of the trainee. And, is language and moral education not education? If you don't say good deeds, how can the 3 generations of these people know? Kyoichi admires himself. Actually, he guessed right, there are quite a few people staring at him now, and the 3rd generation is one of them. Seeing this scene, the 3 generations were shocked. Impressed then, really, Kakashi is someone who truly understands the will of fire. As expected of the offspring of the teacher, the 3 generations were filled with emotion. He used the telescope technique to monitor, and naturally he saw Uchiha Fuyuke at the gate of the school. Thinking of the Uchiha family, he couldn't help laughing. Kakashi is really capable. Let him be a temporary teacher, and as a result, Shisui has been educated into a good boy like Obito. Too bad it's not my own. If he can become Tsunade's disciple, he may not have a place in Hokage in the future. The 3 generations fell into contemplation. Stop the water. School gate. Shisui followed Jingyi all the way out, during which he also asked in detail a few tips about the body snap technique. Seeing Fuyu at the door, Shisui was stunned for a moment, then turned and bowed. Teacher, do you want to become a Jonin in the future? No surprise, it should be. Jingyi pondered for a moment, and finally nodded lightly. The Shengen exam is only because of his lack of merit, so he has to take the exam for promotion. This kind of promotion within the village is more of a passing scene. Even if it's not formal, he has confidence. Yes, I understand, thank you teacher. By the way, then I'll go first. A smile appeared on Shisui's face. Afterwards, he took a deep breath, cleared his mind, turned around and walked towards Fuyu. Fuyu narrowed his eyes slightly, greeted Jingyi far away, and then left with Shisui. After returning to the clan, only then did Fuyu say, Shisui, that person is the teacher who was transferred recently. Yes, his name is Kakashi, and he is a very good teacher. Shisui replied respectfully, I heard that you have been with Obito recently and have been helping those people in the village to carry water and firewood. Yes, because I found that the civilians didn't seem to like me very much, but there was almost no estrangement with Obito. I was curious, so I observed it and tried it. Sure enough, the civilians no longer resisted me. A smile appeared on Shisui's face. He looked up at Fuyu and said, Lord Patriarch, I think our family can try to communicate with them more, otherwise they will always misunderstand our Uchiha family. Quote. Fuyu was shocked after hearing this, and he touched Shishui's hair for a while and was speechless. Shisui is only 5 years old, but it was the words of a child that surprised him the most. Because Shisui is only 5 years old, he already sees problems from the perspective of a family, not a simple individual. This is rare. He looked at Shisui for a few seconds, and finally heaved a long sigh and said, it's easier said than done. But it's good that you have this kind of thinking, it still looks different from Obito. Do things with soil only by heart. Shisui does it and observes with purpose. The two are obviously different, which makes Fuyu a lot at ease. Lord Patriarch, can you allow me to follow other Shingen after graduation? Shisui said again, you want to join the Kakashi squad. Fuyu was in a tangle. If it was before, he would definitely not agree, but Jishui's words made him more aware of how smart Shisui is, and Shisui is not clear, but he understands. At present, Uchiha is equivalent to Chiyu. He has the intention to try, but he has not been able to find the direction. Stopping the water now seems like an opportunity. Get in touch with Kyoichi, and once again serve as a springboard to enter the Anbu of Hokage. Thinking of this, Fuyu nodded lightly and said, I understand, if Kyoichi can be promoted to Shingen and is willing to lead the team, I will mention it to the 3rd generation. Thank you Patriarch. Chapter 13 Shishui's Life Mentor. Open black lens bracket. You have completed the teachings of blinking technique and thinking. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation. Excellent. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket award. 1. Tuden to spear. 2. Magic power. 3. Water escape water breaking wave. The host can choose the second one. 2 out of 3. Kyungsu's eyes lit up. Really, thought teaching is also rewarded, and it is also very rich. These 3 techniques are all powerful and have infinite potential. Any one is very strong, and this time, I can choose 2. So tangled. Too hard to choose. If you have to choose one not to study. I choose 1 or 3. Jingyi thought about it and finally made a decision. After his thousand-handed physique was awakened, both Water Dun and Earth Dun have good bonuses. Now when it is time to be promoted to Shang Nin, one of the criteria for Shang Nin is Master 2 or more nature changes. Jingyi has 3 chakra attributes: Earth, Water, and Wind. Currently only mastered the Water Escape. According to Jing's guesses on several previous rewards from the system, after learning the Earth Sphere, he will gain some knowledge of the changes in the nature of Earth Escape. As for the Water Break, this ninjutsu is so powerful. Open black lens bracket. Receive complete close black lens bracket. A wave of knowledge came to mind. This is the memory of the 2 techniques, simultaneously. Jingyi felt that he could use it quickly without practice, and after getting the memory, he didn't regret his choice. Earth spheres do not need a seal. There are not many knots needed to break the water wave, and the power is equally huge. As for magic, although it's a pity, but if you spend more time squatting, it won't be too difficult to find Tsunade. As my Chinsho bloodline, it shouldn't be a problem to learn it. Jingyi thought to himself. Just after selecting the reward, another voice sounded. Open black lens bracket completed. Uchiha Shisui's thought, teaching, he regards you as a life mentor. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation. Excellent. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reward. The technique of instant body change. Close black lens bracket. When Jing heard the prompt, everyone was stunned. The previous rewards were expected, but this time there is no preparation. Mentor, I don't seem to be teaching anything. This is a pleasant surprise. Jingyi took a few steps, then stopped, recalling the question Shisui had just asked in his mind. Does this kid want to be the Jinin of my team? Kanda Jinjiki did not expect that, as a mentor, the first student turned out to be Shisui. He was a little dumbfounded. Yep, Shisui can still be saved if he is taught a good lesson. With his own unique will of fire, he will definitely not become as naive as he used to be in the future. He walked home, and just around the corner, a figure swooped out. Brother Kanda, let's have a test of youth and blood. Whoever runs to 300 laps first will win, and whoever loses. Kai, I have something to do, next time. Jing's face darkened. Nima, it's okay to exercise together at ordinary times, but once you start to compete with him like this, Battle of Youth, the follow-up will be an uninterrupted challenge. He didn't want to be like Kakashi. It's a pity I can't find Kakashi. When Jingyi leaned against the wall, he flicked his fingers, chakra poured out, and then quickly sensed the surrounding situation. Soon, he smiled and said, if you want to find Kakashi, you can walk along this street, and you can find him when you are near the river. Really? Thank you Kanda-san. Ow, Kakashi, let's have a bloody battle. Kai rushed to that direction while shouting, as expected of the blue beast of Konoha. Kyungsu breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Kakashi returned to the village. Turning away Matekai, he took a few steps, only to perceive a person following behind him. Asuma, old, teacher, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to follow, no, Do you have any questions? Jingyi didn't expect Asuma to follow him, but he was a little surprised and puzzled. Asuma scratched his head, he looked a little handsome without a beard, but at the moment he looked a little embarrassed. Come on, come to my house and sit down. Kyungsu nodded. He could see that Asuma seemed to be full of doubts and wanted to ask something. Although Asuma is still only a student, many thoughts have already begun to accumulate, otherwise, he will not be promoted to Chunin at the age of 12 years later. You know, this time is a war period. Obito and Lin, who graduated from the same group as him, were promoted at the age of 11. Asuma's talent is not bad. He was lower than those two, obviously for a reason. The specific Jingyi is unknown, and it can only be guessed based on the later situation. Since there is no problem with strength and talent, it is obviously the problem of this guy's thinking. Asuma followed behind, he followed all the way, looked around, and felt vaguely familiar. After thinking for a long time, he suddenly realized, this side used to be a house divided into 1,000 hands. Jing nodded. His family used to be the place of the Chinsho clan, but in the late period of the first generation, the family gradually intermarried, and the clan belonging to the Chinsho clan gradually disappeared. Until the second generation Chinsho Toburama period, the Chinsho clan was basically gone. His family was split from the second generation. The teacher is still a 1,000-handed family. No, my grandma is. Jingyi smiled. He secretly disbanded the shadow avatars who practiced in the hospital, then opened the door and entered, pulling a position to signal Asuma to sit down and chat. Asuma was a little reserved, but, after drinking a few sips of water, he gradually relaxed, looked around and said, Teacher, I want to ask a personal question. Who do you think are ninjas? Jade, chess is. Jade, really? Kyungsu was not surprised. He didn't know whether to call the 3 generations of education good or bad. Say it well, Asuma didn't listen to him, and even became the 12 guardians in a rebellious manner in the midterm. Badly, he started thinking very early. Jingyi pondered for a moment, and finally smiled and said, I don't think it matters who the jade is. There are 1,000 different kinds of jade in the hearts of 1,000 people, and the focus is on protection. There are 1,000 different kinds of jade in the hearts of 1,000 people. Guard, Asuma tasted it over and over again, and found it very meaningful. But, after thinking about it carefully, I felt that Jingyi didn't say anything, and of course you had to fight to the death to protect him, because if you died, he would lose. Let me give an example. Senior White Fang committed suicide after being reviled by many people in the village for saving his comrades. What do you think the jade in his heart is? Lord White Fang, Asuma wanted to answer, but couldn't say it for a while. He thought about it for a long time. At last. Companion, yes, in Senior White Fang's heart, the life and death of his companions are higher than the mission. He protects his companions. What is important in your heart is what it is. So that's how it is. Asuma was thoughtful. Although it sounded, Jingyi still didn't say anything, but for some reason, he felt as if he understood, but he didn't fully understand. After thinking for a long time, he came back to his senses and quickly bowed. Thank you for your advice. If you have no other questions, would you like something to eat? No, my mother may be waiting for me at home. Thank you very much. I will say goodbye first. ... Who, Kakashi, there are still 100 laps. Youth and blood are not allowed to give up. Mikey shouted as he ran. Aside, Kakashi followed closely. He was wearing a mask and couldn't see any expression, but his eyes showed a bit of murderous intent. Who told you I was here? The previous location was so hidden. If it wasn't for someone to point it out, it would be impossible for Kai's perception to find himself. I'll tell you if I win. Humph. Kakashi's eyes narrowed, and his speed increased a bit. Chapter 14 0.0. Asuma can't do it. After a wave of verbal education, I didn't get too many rewards, just a little weapon proficiency. Kyoichi plays Kuu in his hands. Kanai is quite skilled, and even his swordsmanship seems to have improved slightly, but compared to Shisui's previous gains, Asuma's wave is really not that much. Never mind. Better than nothing. He separates himself and prepares to cook something to eat. At this moment, a figure swishes into the courtyard. Kakashi, the third generation of adults, asked me to inform you that the Shengen exam will be held in the morning in 5 days. Please be sure to go to the Forest of Death by then. Understood, thank you. After Kyoichi saluted, the Anbu ninja disappeared directly. After Anbu ninja left, he thought for a long time, and many recent situations flashed through his mind. Most of the ninjas have returned. It seems that the front line is completely fine, and the graduation test may be started next. Junin exams are being held at this time, and it seems that Konoha's leading teachers are also in short supply. During this time, most of the Konoha ninjas were fighting outside, and there were not many in the village, and there was a backlog of tasks such as catching pets and carrying water and firewood. In addition, Genin suffered a lot of casualties, and also needed a group of newcomers to supplement. But, instead of editing directly after graduation, Shamanin has to form a team of 4 with the leading teacher. Most of them are led by Chunin, but Shangren also needs a lot. Most of Shangren still bring family children. This is the unspoken rule of Konoha all along, but now. Obviously, the Shangren is also not so sufficient. The 3 generations are not clear, but what Jinchiki knows very well is that after a short period of peace, Konoha will soon fight against Karigakura and Iwagakura village again. In the more than 10 years since the start of the Second Ninja World War, Konoha has not had much chance to rest at all, and now it is a bit of a green and yellow situation. No wonder in the follow-up, Union Village directly robbed Hinata, and the 3 generations in the Hinata clan chose to forbearance. However, Jingi understood, but did not agree. Days are badly dead. In addition, the fact that Konoha will come to this day is not unrelated to the governance strategies of the 3 generations in Danzo. Since the establishment of the village, the first generation is the most powerful, but that is due to the absolute strength of Senju Hashime. In terms of the village's prosperity, it is actually still during the tenure of the second generation Shinsho Togurama. The results of it, as soon as Senju Togurama died, Konoha continued to fight with the outer village and continued to decline. Inside Konoha, even Sannin couldn't keep it. Whose reason? This can't always be Uchiha's problem. It is certain that the 3 generations are incompetent in power. Kakashi was ready to eat, thinking about his next plan while eating. Being a team teacher was already in the plan. Next words. In the war with Wuin and Union, I want to make more achievements, but the most important thing is to make more people. If Danzo wants to attack me in the future, I will have the ability to counter it. Certainly, Orochimaru's strength and status are enough, but in the end, wasn't it run away by Danzang? Because he himself is not clean, therefore, no handle can be left behind. Thinking of this, Jing Pair had a clear understanding of her follow-up, and she was no longer confused. As for now, or exercise and improve yourself. There will be no class tomorrow, so I just went to see Matai and Makai to practice and exchange feelings. If the time is right, we can exchange the 7-day call method and the 8-door Dunjia. The next day, in Konoha, new faces in ninja uniforms keep appearing. These are the ninjas returning from the front. Jingyi didn't care too much, he ran along the periphery to exercise, and there was a shadow clone at home who persisted in practicing swordsmanship. His swordsmanship has improved a lot, but, taking it to the enemy, it may not be enough to see, at least not as skilled and direct as his other attack methods. Gotta practice. Brother Kanda, let's have a test. Exercise well. Kyungsu didn't answer. Matekai followed for a while, a little unable to hold back, and suddenly kicked at Jingyi. Kyungsu tilted his head to avoid it. Matekai flew over his head, but at this moment, a green shadow came quickly from behind. Kai, you bastard, how dare you attack Kanda-sensei? Bang, with a muffled sound, Metkai was kicked away, almost hitting a rock. Matt got it. The corner of Jingyi's mouth twitched. Although I have met them once or twice, the characters and styles of the father and son Matty and Metkai are still a bit difficult to get used to. However, every time they start with such a heavy hand, the child is still fine. It is no wonder that they can train into the 8-door Dunjia. The ability to carry and fight is cultivated since childhood. He ignored the 2 father and son and continued to run forward. Anyway, they will catch up. But, after running a few steps, Jingyi narrowed his eyes at the woods. Someone spying. He felt it for a moment, and probably understood. This breath. Hatake Kakashi. He kept silent and continued to run forward, as if he didn't perceive Kakashi's presence. Got closer. Suddenly, the trees rustled. The next moment, Kakashi appeared behind Jingyi, and the unsheathed dagger was on Jingyi's neck. Humph. Nothing more than that. He was about to put down his dagger, and the next moment, Kanda Jinchiki in front of him slowly dissipated. Doppelganger. Impossible. When, Kakashi's eyes widened, and although he was surprised, he reacted very quickly, jumped away quickly, and performed ninjutsu with a seal in the air. Chunin ninjutsu. After landing, he was about to sneak away. But, he found that his ninjutsu was ineffective. There is a layer of chakra on the ground that belongs to others, blocking his earth escape ninjutsu. Amazing. Just a moment ago, the other party used the instant body technique and the avatar technique that he could not distinguish, and then used the earth escape chakra to seal his feet, so that he could not evacuate. This is a veteran of the battlefield. At this time. Ding. As expected of Hatake Kakashi, Kyoichi was unable to reach Kakashi's knife. In the blink of an eye, the other party can quickly analyze the scene and make a judgment. This reaction ability is indeed very strong, and the strength is not weak. If it is me without system improvement, I will be defeated by Kakashi at the first sight. But, now he is not afraid at all. In Kakashi's horrified eyes, Jingyi directly held his dagger. At this time, Kakashi noticed that Kyoichi's hands were all black. Sclerotherapy. Wrong. This is another earth escape ninjutsu, Earth Spear. He wanted to use Lei Dun Chakra to crack it on the spot, but the opponent's strength became very terrifying in an instant. Kakashi couldn't hold the knife at all, and the weapon was taken away in an instant. What a terrible force. Kakashi looked at the dagger that was taken away, and knew that he was completely defeated. At that moment, if the opponent was an enemy, he could directly use the kunai in his right hand to kill him. Amazing. The opponent is only 6 or 7 years older than him, but his strength is not at the same level. The most unacceptable thing for him is, the moment the knife was taken away just now, he even felt that he would not be the opponent of the guy in front of him for another 6 or 7 years. This was a frustration he had never experienced before. Do not. If he can use thunder unlocking ninjutsu and grow for a few more years, he will definitely be able to defeat this guy. Kakashi clenched his fists, cheering himself up. Kakashi, I said yesterday that you are not his opponent, but you are still here to challenge Brother Kanda. After Kai arrived, he laughed wantonly aside, but he himself had a bruised nose and a swollen face, and was obviously beaten by Matty. Chapter 15 No need for a knife, you can give it to me. Yesterday, Kyungsu wanted to understand. He directed Matekai to find Kakashi. It seems that Kakashi was not reconciled in the end. He asked Matekai about the culprit. Today, he specially ambushed for revenge. But, the strength is still lower. Kakashi's assassination and sword skills are very strong, and his ability to adapt is very fast, but unfortunately, he has mastered the soil spear, which can be effective without the need for a seal. Certainly, the key is to avoid the first wave of attacks. Quote. Kakashi wanted to turn his head away, but the white fang dagger was still in Kyoichi's hands. At first, he just wanted to punish him, so he didn't even draw the knife, but he didn't expect that in the end, he lost so much that he didn't even have the knife. Hateful, do you know where you lost? Quote. Kakashi stared at him. Jing-Yi smiled and said, first of all, you underestimate the enemy. Okay, Kakashi nodded, not denying it. He really underestimated the enemy. Mistakenly thought that Jing was a Chunin teacher, nothing to be afraid of at all, but only after he took action did he find that the opponent's strength was terrible. Not just earth escape and physical art, the instant body technique just now seemed to have hidden secrets, so he couldn't figure it out for the time being. The key is, too fast. Kakashi thought to himself that the speed was very fast, and many Shainjin were not even as fast as him, but it was still a lot slower than Jing-Yi. Just now from the shot to the hit, clone, he didn't understand when the other party's body shaking technique was performed by the seal. Secondly, Jing fluttered with one finger, and the dagger danced in his hand. Very flowery, it's useless in battle, but it can show one thing, we also know swordsmanship. Kakashi didn't understand. The exposed eyes stared at Jing-Yi, waiting for the follow-up answer. I think it's better for you to review this kind of problem yourself. Question mark. Kakashi was stunned for a moment, waiting for a long time, waiting for such a sentence. Say it early, he took the knife and turned away. Kyungsu couldn't help but laugh out loud. No matter how serious he is still just a child. He glanced at Madde and his son. After Kai sneered, he was taught a lesson by Madde. The scene was very violent, and it only stopped now. Afterwards, the three of them continued to exercise. Kakashi followed. He did leave at first, but after thinking about it for a while, he kept thinking about his own flaws. However, he thinks, is there any problem? Kakashi is proud. If it was someone else, he didn't think there was a problem with his loss at all, but only thought that if he was given time, he would be able to surpass the opponent sooner or later. This is the confidence of genius. But, Kyungsu is different. He was only 15 years old. The 6-year gap is neither too big nor too small, but the other party is very comprehensive and has almost no shortcomings. Kakashi didn't have enough confidence. Defect. The fragments of the battle just now flashed repeatedly in his mind, and there were some vague thoughts in his mind. Knife. The problem is the knife. He suddenly became enlightened, and quickly chased after him and asked, is it a knife? Yo Kakashi, you didn't leave. I knew that you definitely wanted to challenge me and have a bloody battle. Maedake was instantly enthusiastic. Kakashi ignored him. This guy, obviously he won yesterday, but the other party's reaction made it seem like he lost. Bother. He stared at Kyungsu. Jing-Yi smiled and said, you are all good at swordsmanship, ninjutsu, and taijutsu. But you don't have a particularly outstanding ability. Your swordsmanship is very strong, but you resist it in your heart and don't want to strengthen it. Quote. Kakashi clenched his fist. The veins on his forehead violently jumped, staring at Jing-Yi angrily. Why do you say that? Isn't it? I heard that the Hotake family was a samurai in the early years, and later became a ninja, so it has always been a family of swordsmanship. If you trust swordsmen enough, why not incorporate ninjutsu and taijutsu into the sword? Jing-Yi didn't know how White Fang's swordsmanship was. But, regardless of the anime or the fight just now, he doesn't think Kakashi really believes in daggers. Dependent yet resist. This is Kakashi now. Quote. Kakashi was speechless. White Fang's knife skills were naturally not his. Ninjutsu. That is the white-toothed knife technique, and the white-toothed short knife in his hand is actually a chakra weapon, which can be used in conjunction with chakra to exert stronger power. But, he resisted, because Kakashi will unconsciously think of his father, the man who, shame, him and his family. Do you really understand your father? If you feel that Lord White Fang is ashamed, then just give up the knife, because then you don't deserve to use the White Fang knife at all, you might as well give it to those who need it more. If you are interested, I can exchange the soil escape ninjutsu just now with a secret technique, which is absolutely worth the money. Kyungsu said with a smile. This word, punished. Madde looked at Kakashi. Your father was a great man. Dai had met Kakashi's father, who was a great man. Yes, people, not ninjas. From the ninja's point of view, it was natural for Tsukumo to give up his mission to save his companions, but as a human being, he protected his companions and dared to give up something for his companions. Such a person deserves respect. You don't know anything. Kakashi clenched White Fang's dagger tightly, and the Shunshu left directly. Jing-Yi shrugged and said, it seems that he doesn't understand, let's continue exercising. Maddie sighed. Kei didn't quite understand. In many respects, he was not that smart at all, otherwise he would not have been called a rare beast by the dried persimmon ghost shark. However, he is still very dependent on his mind, and even so, he will not give up the knife technique. Kyungsu seemed to be pointing. Kakashi didn't go far, and with the ninja's ear, he could definitely hear these words. But then, Jing-Yi left. There is a limit to being a good teacher. Chasing after people's teaching, that's too low-key. He is a mentor in life, not an incompetent teacher who lacks disciples. Kakashi thinks about it for himself. If he can't figure it out, it has nothing to do with him. Kakashi sat on a tree by the river, staring at his knife. Do you really understand your father? The words echoed in his ears. Very direct, not alone in saying that, but this time, Kakashi reacted particularly violently. Because the other party's words seemed unreasonable, but it made him very concerned. Resist the knife, he does not know. After thinking for a while, Kakashi's fist became hard again. Do not, it was because he gave up his mission that he committed suicide and brought shame to the Hotake family. He left angrily. Jing-Yi didn't get a system prompt, but he wasn't surprised. If Kakashi was so easily smeared, he wouldn't have been on the top of his head for so many years, and he was even more hated in the ninja community. But, I really didn't have a sense of existence before. Obviously he had been on the same team with Kakashi for a short time, but the kid didn't even recognize him at all. After running for a while, he still exercised by the original woods. This time he deliberately practiced the call for 7 days. Chapter 16 Exchange Forbidden Techniques, 8 Dunjia. Okay, Mad Dai is a master of individualism. Although he doesn't think so himself, he only thinks that he is a submissive. The moment Jing-Yi's body aura changed, he felt something, this feeling. It is very similar to Baman Dunjia. He will also have 8 Dunjia. Maddie was curious, and couldn't help but take a few more glances. Wrong, different, this is not the 8 Gates Dunjia. Kanda-sensei, what kind of technique are you? Maddie was a little surprised. He studied Baman for 20 years, checked a lot of information, and in the end, half groping and half pondering, he mastered this trick of his own. As a result, Jingyi was only 15 years old and seemed to have practiced something similar. This is a body art I thought of, 7 days of calling. Hyungsu didn't hide it. He practiced this technique in the hope of getting Maddie's attention. 7 days of calling. Maddie was surprised. It's really different from your own. Baman Dunjia relies on the 8 doors of the human body. No matter how it changes, the basics are the 8 doors, and the name of Jingyi's body art mentions who, so. Is it related to breathing? Although Maedai has only practiced the 8 Dunjia for 20 years, he has already learned a lot about Teishu in the process of studying the 8 Dunjia. Just a name, he guessed the core. But, how to do it, Maddai is naturally unknown. Lei Dun chakra can stimulate cell activity, and inhaling a lot of oxygen can also stimulate cell activity. Kyoichi said, this is the core of the 7-day call. It's just that compared to the Lei Dun chakra stimulation, the 7-day call is more rude, and the speed and power limit after stimulation are higher and stronger, but the cost is correspondingly greater. This way, the side effects are indeed much smaller than mine. Maddai may be lacking in knowledge, but after 20 years of research and pondering, he has a very high understanding of the body, and he immediately understood the benefits of the 7-day call. Less burden on the body. Yours, Teacher Kanda. To tell you the truth, for more than 20 years, based on some previous materials, I have created a physical technique that explodes the upper limit of the human body, the 8-door Dunjia. Maddie nodded, and then began to outline the principle. The more he talked, the more he admired Jingyi. The 8 doors of the human body, in a sense, limit the upper limit of chakra in the body and prevent it from harming itself. These are the 8 doors to protect yourself, open it to gain powerful strength, and naturally also suffer from the backlash brought by unlocking. Muscle tearing and physical collapse are only the smallest price. Although the upper limit of the 7-day call may not be as good as the 8-door Dunjia, it is more suitable for promotion and application, although it will pay the price of cell division, but on the battlefield, this type of explosive body technique can save a life at a critical moment. And, as long as the physical activity is stimulated, the use of chakra will not be greatly affected. This is better than the 8 gates Dunjia. The 8-door Dunjia opens the restriction, and the chakra burst is too terrifying, far beyond the control of manpower. Compared with these benefits, mere cell division is really nothing. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but put aside his scruples and asked, Teacher Kanda, my 8-door Dunjia is based on the 8 doors of the human body, so I named the 8 doors, your 7-day call. I envisioned that there should be 7 levels of activation, but at the moment, I've only developed the 3rd one. Kyoichi said. Matt K on the side was already confused. Although he started to practice the 8 Dunjia, he still did not have a thorough understanding of the nature of the human body and physical art. He couldn't understand such topics at all, let alone talk about his own understanding. After listening to it for a long time, he simply went to practice his own physique moves. The 3rd activity, Maddie was heartbroken. The idea of stimulating cell activity is very novel. He had never imagined that he could enhance body techniques from this angle. Currently, it is based on the amount of oxygen inhaled. Now it can inhale 4 times as much oxygen, but in the future, I don't think it can be just that. Wait, these are all your own creations and explorations. I can't listen to them in vain. I will exchange them with you, but, no, with the character of Teacher Kanda, I can definitely use this technique at the right time. Matt Deben wanted to teach his son that way, but thinking about it carefully, is Kanda Keiichi's conduct worth worrying about? With Kanda-sensei's character, he would definitely use the 8-door Dunjia as his guardian. Thank you, senior. To tell you the truth, I am also very interested in opening the 8 doors, but the 8 doors are the human body's chakra locks. This method should be classified as a forbidden technique and cannot be used frequently. Sure enough, Kanda-sensei, you don't need me to say more to understand. Maddie laughed a few times, and then began to exchange methods in a low voice. Jingyi also taught him to call for 7 days, but starting from the 4th activity, there is no reference for the 7-day call method. Unless the system can create a follow-up out of nothing, it can only rely on its own exploration and research. Compared with the incomplete 7-day call, the complete 8-door Dunjia is naturally superior. But, Maddie didn't feel like he was at a loss. The 7-day call made him see a completely different direction. Although it was unrealistic to use it at the same time as the 8-door Dunjia, he was very interested in it. If it can be researched and improved, the active method may be promoted. Teacher Kanda, lowering some functions and thresholds for the first activity, can it be promoted as a common physique? There's this idea, and it is still being studied. Although I'm stupid, I'm still just a stubborn person, but I can try to help. That's great. While Jingyi was excited, he couldn't help but feel ashamed. He wanted to exchange the 8-door Dunjia, but Mad Dai wanted to improve the low-level breathing method suitable for most ninjas from the 7-day call, and the pattern itself was low. The key is, in Matt's eyes, his character seems to be very noble. After communicating with Mai Tadai, Jingyi couldn't help but sigh that it was a bit too wasteful for 3 generations to let a person like Mai Tadai be only a genin. So, does Konoha lack talent? There is no shortage, it's just that the 3 generations and Danzo forced themselves not to cultivate and preserve them. Compared with Senju Tobarama, the 3rd generation is much weaker in this respect. This day, Jingyi and Maddie have been discussing and experimenting. 8-door Dunjia, 7-day call. The 2 physical arts are completely different systems, but they are both explosive type forbidden arts. Matt Day still has a good understanding of them, and he quickly mastered the first activity. I have some inspiration, but I don't know how to say it. Maddie blushed. He practiced taijutsu all by death, without any theoretical knowledge, and he could understand the 8-sec Dunjia, but after researching and summarizing the 7-day call method, he couldn't come up with a reason for a while. Usually, it's a wild way. Hyungsu understood very well. He thought for a while and said, Senior Dai, don't worry too much about this matter. It's really impossible to directly announce the first activity, and the universality is enough, but it is the 8-door Dunjia. I think it can create different matching moves. Quote. Different moves to match. Why? Chapter 17 familiar with configuration, root organization. Although the 8-door Dunjia will cause physical damage to the user, it will not cause instant death before the 8-door. As the restrictions are opened, the chakra and physical status will change at different levels. In this way, ordinary physical techniques are no longer applicable. Even if the 7-day call is the first activity, it is at least an A-level forbidden technique. It is estimated that at least the elite Chunin is qualified to learn. Don't worry too much about this. Jingyi felt that the most important thing was to develop the matching physique of the 8 dungeons. Maddie is strong, but his use of Baman Dunjia is too low level. If you can learn the set of physical techniques developed by Kai, it is estimated that the 7 knives and all the Madadai will be able to stay, and even open the 7 doors may be able to repel the opponent. So, research on supporting physical techniques is the top priority. Well, it makes sense, but teacher, I have no idea at all, and I don't know how to create it for a while. Maddie scratched his head. He was able to speak eloquently in the 7-day call, because he studied the 8 doors Dunjia for 20 years, and accumulated a lot of experience and knowledge in the process. But, Teishu moves are not within the scope of his research, and Mad Dai is not a person who fights bravely. I have a rough idea. Kyungsu understood very well. Matty didn't have much experience in fighting. He has always been a stubborn man. Except for the war period, he rarely has the experience of killing and fighting, which is completely different from the experience of Matekai. After all, being able to create 8 Dunjia is already quite remarkable. Okay, Matty scratched his head. He thought hard, but his mind was still blank. Kyoichi looked at Matt K. Matt Day doesn't understand combat, but Kai understands that although he is only a stubborn man, he has experienced more battles than Matt Day. Such moves as Konoha Whirlwind, K mastered it much faster than his father. Kai, have you mastered the 8 gates of Dunjia? I only practiced 3 doors. Matt K was ashamed. But, Jing Yi was already very surprised. He opened 3 doors when he was only 9 years old. This talent is not weak at all. But considering what he has accomplished in the future, it is not surprising. Jinjiki talked about the concept of lotus flowers. Understand, clear, Matekai's fighting talent is indeed better than Dai's. Dai is still pondering, but he already understands the essence of it. The lotus is in the speed chain attack, which will cause a high load on the body, but it is more suitable for the state after opening the 8 doors. Jingmun and Jingmun will undergo qualitative changes. Is there a physique that uses this qualitative change to create a combination of these 2 states? Kyungsu said again. Matty was lost in thought. He naturally understood the state of Jingmun. He had shown the 8 gates Dunjia to Matt Kai before, and he just opened the state of Jingmun directly. Take advantage of the 8 features. Seems to work. The communication ends here. Matty's own understanding is not that high. If he talks too much, the other party may be more confused, but he has no thoughts. It is better to raise a concept so that they can understand the principle and then ponder. There won't be too many wars this year, so Matty had a lot of time to think about it. Jing Yi began to try the 8 gates of Dunjia. His body is not weak, and he already has the experience of mastering the 7-day call, so. Open the door, easy to open. It's not a problem to leave the door, but it's a bit difficult to live. However, the life door is the beginning of the 8 doors, and he doesn't count the entry now. It seems that if I want to drive more, I have to exercise further. Quote, Kyungsu thought. He looked at the system. There was a beep before, but I was busy at the time and didn't have time to pay attention. Open black lens bracket completed the teaching of 7-day calling, and lotus. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket evaluation. Excellent close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reward. Basic medical ninjutsu. Palm mortal jutsu close black lens bracket. Ah, medical ninjutsu. Why this? Jing Yi was a little surprised. He never expected that the reward this time would be this one. It didn't seem to have much to do with his own teaching. But, after receiving it, the chakra control is obviously more precise. Also, medical ninjutsu has the highest requirements for chakra control. The basics of medical ninjutsu are equivalent to directly giving me a bunch of medical knowledge and chakra control. So fragrant, Jing was content. In comparison, Palm immortal jutsu, a grade A ninjutsu, is similar to Timothy. Due to the Shengen exam, he basically had no classes for the next 2 or 3 days. Basically, every day, I study physical skills with Mad Dai and Matt Kai, while shadow clones practice swordsmanship. During this time, the frontline war was basically over. More and more ninjas returned to the village, and Jing Yi saw many familiar faces, such as Chu Dao Dingza and Hyuga Ripa. But, these people don't know him. Jing Yi didn't have the thought of taking the initiative to join up. There's no need for that. They are not children, they are not so easy to fool, and they are not beautiful when they get together. Jing Yi is exercising these days. He has already opened the 8 doors to 3, and he hesitated in the follow-up research, and did not immediately study the way to further open the 8 doors. Baman Dunjia is very strong. Probably not for him. The chakra brought by opening the 8 doors is too violent. Even if he obtains the foundation of medical ninjutsu and further enhances his chakra control ability, he can only manipulate it easily. Wanting to perform extremely demanding ninjutsu such as strange powers and earth spears in the 8-door state is simply a nonsense. By comparison, there is no such situation in the 7-day call. Maybe the 7-day call is more suitable for you. Kyungsu thought to himself, certainly, Baman Dunjia, he can still practice, but he doesn't plan to use it as the main method, but keeps it as a whole card. Matt K has gained a lot. He has become a lotus flower. Matt Day really had a poor understanding of the moves, but he quickly mastered the first activity of the 7-day call. Same as Kyoichi, he learned to call the FA for 7 days, and he was just trying it out, but he didn't go deep into the second and third activities. After he learned the first activity, he began to think about how to simplify it. The first activity is still not suitable as a conventional means. And these are not what Jing Yi needs to consider. He currently has more important things. Junin exam. In the past few days, his physical skills have made great progress, and his swordsmanship has continued to improve every day. It's just that the swordsmanship notes that Grandma got are mostly scattered notes and theoretical ideas, and there is no systematic move. His swordsmanship is only usable. On the morning of the 5th day, Jing Yi came to the Forest of Death as promised. The Forest of Death is huge. There are many traps and beasts here, which are divided into several practice fields. After Jing Yi came here, he found that he was not the only one taking the Shengen exam. Besides him, there were about 7 or 8 ninjas, 3 of whom were from Oil Girl and Hinata. Such a configuration, very familiar. Moreover, the other party seems to be observing him secretly. Rook Tissue. As for the other 3, 1 or 2 may be ordinary ninjas like him, but one is definitely not. The one with a ponytail and a scar on the corner of his mouth. Baiyun Morning. This is definitely not an ordinary ninja. Anbu. Kyungsu wondered in his heart. Chapter 18 Orochimaru is dead and perverted. Junin exam will start soon. Click on the famous person to receive the certificate. Tekuno. Yes. Baiyun Morning. Yes. Sun Shangtao. Quote. Kanda Keiichi. Exist. Jing Yi stood up and went up to receive the vouchers respectfully like them. Then, he listened carefully to the name. Baiyun didn't surprise him in the morning. After all, his features were very obvious, and he instantly remembered it. But, that chubby young ninja turned out to be Tekuno who appeared with him in the anime. This is a little surprising. Jing Yi remembered him for a simple reason. This person has played a lot and is one of the few ninja masters who combine ninja tools and psychic scrolls like Tiantian so that he can finally become a ninja. It can be seen that he is indeed quite accomplished in ninja equipment. Kyungsu couldn't help but take a few more glances. Apart from the 2 of them, there is also a little-known elite Chunin, but quite the opposite. This person poses the greatest threat to Jing Yi. This is the information he has detected based on Chakra's perception. He is very suspicious of who this person is disguised as. Orochimaru. There is a certain possibility. This guy likes to play these the most. Jing swept around and had a general guess about the status of the Shengen exam. Most of the ninjas here were inconvenient for direct promotion, but their ability reached the standard. The first test will be held here. Please answer the test for 7 people. The one who spoke was a Junin. Kyoichi recognizes him. Yuhi is really red, Yuhi's father. But, it was not the time to meet the parents of the students. He stepped forward to collect the papers, and then quickly sat down in the position placed in advance in the exercise field, and began to answer the papers. One must have a certain knowledge reserved to become a Sharingan. Even Naruto in Hokage can't avoid this hurdle in the end, and he has studied hard for a long time. Jingyi took a look at the paper and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Topic above. It is difficult to say it is difficult, and it is simple to say it. Most of them are topics related to knowledge of battlefield tactics, battle formation positions, etc. As long as an experienced Chunin basically knows it. Although Jingyi can't say that he understands everything, but the knowledge of his predecessor and some experience from watching anime in his previous life, it is not difficult to answer the questions. Several others are easier to answer, because here, the youngest is Kakashi. Being promoted to Chunin at the age of 14 is really slow, but if you can be promoted to Chunin at the age of 15, it is not too weak. He can be called the focus of this exam. In fact, Jingyi himself understood that half of the 7 people in the examination room may have come to him. The first exam is just the beginning. He calmed down and observed while answering the questions. After a while, the unknown Matsunohara handed in the papers, and others also handed in the papers one after another. Kyōichi is the last one. It's not that he can't answer, he just wants to be the last to go and observe the situation of these people. Basically there's an answer now. The 2 oily women should be from the root organization and have been observing themselves secretly, while Rishantao may have really come to the exam and finished the exam very early. The content of the second test is very simple. There are 2 scrolls in the Forest of Death. The first 4 people who collect the scrolls will qualify for the third test. After Yuhi Mahong finished reading it, she made a direct order to disperse. The next moment, everyone disappeared instantly. Kyōichi understood. The second test was intelligence gathering, combat and speed. In terms of collection, naturally no one can compare to the Oil Girl clan and the Hinata clan. These 3 are the big troubles in this exam. But Jingyi has to face more than that, and Matsunohara. Is this guy really here for the exam? Just after the instant body technique dissipated, Jingyi found that he ran in the same direction as himself. Everyone has the strength of the ninja, and he did not believe that the other party could not perceive his position. Never mind, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's not realistic to find 2 scrolls by yourself. It still depends on the Oil Girl clan and the Hinata clan, who are good investigators. Jing used chakra perception to probe around while running. Matsunohara still followed himself. This person must be disguised, not to be promoted to Sharingan. Jing knew that. He didn't follow directly. After following for a while, after judging the opponent's speed, he kept himself and Oil Girl Fei within the range where they could quickly catch up. His position, interesting, perceptual ability. Matsunohara licked his lips, and excitement flashed in his eyes. Thousands of hands. How jealous. Soon, Oil Girl Fei found a scroll, and then quickly rushed to another direction. Looking at his appearance, it was obvious that the bug helped him find another scroll. Kyōichi was about to catch up. At this time, woo. With a sound, Matsunohara, who was wearing a green vest, landed in front of Jingyi, and said in a slightly hoarse voice, "Candid Jingyi, there are only 4 places for this exam. Do you want to get it?" Quote. Orochimaru is dead. Jingyi cursed inwardly. I'm not interested in scrolls, but I'm very interested in you. If you can beat me, maybe I can get scrolls for you. When Matsunohara said this, he couldn't help licking his lips. The quality of this voice and behavior is obviously Orochimaru. I'm not interested in you. Kyōichi was not surprised. In the first exam, he suspected that this guy was Orochimaru, because the frontline negotiating piece with Shan village was also doing the work, so Orochimaru must have returned to the village. Then it's up to you. Matsunohara smiled. He took out his kunai and instantly appeared beside Jingyi. However, the next moment, Jingyi in front of him turned into a broken shadow. Separation. Wrong. What a quick body shot. Matsunohara's eyes were even more excited. When he raised his hand, a large snake appeared. Nimas, don't want your face. When Jingyi saw the big snake falling in front of him, he cursed inwardly, but he didn't hesitate to make a move, and immediately formed a seal, and then a jet of water spewed out of his mouth. Water escape. Water breaks waves. The sharp water gun cut off the big snake by the waist, and even changed its position, and went to the Matsunohara behind. Matsunohara did not expect Kyoichi to perform such a powerful ninjutsu. But, when the water column cut through, his body turned into a pool of mud. Earth substitute. This is Sanin, can dodge ninjutsu attacks with minimal cost. Jingyi was not surprised, and quickly chased after the oil girl. Orochimaru is just a candy cane. It can't be beaten, and it's very sticky. There's no need to entangle with him. And, distinguishing the state of friend and foe and completing the task is also the ability needed by the Jonin, so it is useless to complain. Orochimaru became interested. At first, he just wanted to test Jingyi's ability to see if the awakening of Shinshu's constitution was a fact, but after observing it, he found that Jingyi's strength far exceeded his expectations. The transformed body instant technique, the almost lost second generation stunt, water breaking wave. What else did you not think of? Chapter 19 Soft Fist, one hit waste. Chapter 19 Soft Fist, one shot. Teacher, is this the ninjutsu of the second generation adults? Well, you presided over the exam this time. How's the third session going? Sarutobi nods his head. He was also quite surprised to see Jingyi perform water breaking wave. This kid actually mastered the water escape ninjutsu that no one after Chinsho Togurama could learn. The Chinsho clan split up and scattered a lot of things. These are not surprising. Shida is Jingyi's ninjutsu talent, and he is surprisingly good. Not only has he mastered the breaking of water waves, but he has also transformed the technique of instant body. Even without the blood of Chinsho, Jingyi is still a talent. Orochimaru licked his lips and said with a smile, "Teacher, there's no third game. I'm the third game." Although the teacher has gathered some people this time, the only one who really needs to be promoted in this way is this kid. Zongnan was directly promoted to Sharingan, and he was still injured and lacked in combat achievements. But now we have scarce talents and urgently need manpower, so we have to do this. 3 generations side. In times of war, ninja promotions are often quick and do not require passing an exam. But, Kanda Jingyi was injured, and although the merits on the battlefield are not small, it is not enough to reach the level of promotion to Sharingan, which is very embarrassing. I feel relieved that you are in charge this time. At present, Kanda Jingyi's strength is completely at the level of Sharingan. It depends on the intelligence collection and the judgment of the battlefield situation. 3 generations said. At this time, he didn't know that Orochimaru was studying intercolumnar cells, and thought that Orochimaru was only interested in Kanda Jingyi, so he took the initiative to ask Ying to stop this errand. The heart of love, everyone has it, certainly. The 3 generations are well aware of his inextricable relationship with Danzang, so he added, Orochimaru, I am very relieved of your ability, but you don't have much contact with them. Teacher, this time I'm just going to borrow someone to facilitate the layout of the exam room, and this promotion is more convincing. Orochimaru said, his eyes narrowed. The secondment of Rishantao seems to be the problem. You know what I mean. Sarutobi Hijin nodded lightly, without saying it clearly, but the meaning of the words had already been pointed out. It depends on whether Orochimaru is willing to listen. Forest of Death. Jing Yi is still playing the game of you chasing me with Orochimaru. Orochimaru is a real cowhide candy, and he lingered on him, but Jing Yi didn't fight him much. Firstly, it didn't meet the mission goal, and secondly, he suspected that Orochimaru came for his own blood. He didn't want Orochimaru to get it for the time being. But, after a while, he noticed another figure coming in front of him. Sun Shangtao, is he also a member of the group? How come? A strange look flashed in Jing's eyes. However, one thing is certain, Danzang and Orochimaru set up a game, most likely wanting to injure themselves to obtain blood, so as to further study the integral on our cells. He Quan did not perceive Ri Shangtao, and continued to go to the place where Oil Girl Fei was. The other side has already got 2 scrolls. After a while, Ri Shangtao appeared in front, blocking Jing Yi's way forward. Sorry, I have a mission and I have to. Hai Shangtao's speech was short and direct. Jing Yi sneered and ignored him, but, whoosh. The instant body technique passed by him. The next moment, Ri Shangtao opened his eyes directly, and then went to Beijing to kill. Soft boxing. His speed is very fast, and he has a more precise insight into Jing Yi's trajectory under the blind eye, and he is confident that he can keep up with the blinking technique and block acupuncture points. The plan is fine, but, he just kept up, but found Jing Yi's chakra all over his body. This is, Earth Spear. To form a protective layer with earth and chakra, it is difficult to point acupuncture points. He immediately knew that it was not good and attacked with an empty backhand. Gossip empty palm. However, Jing Yi reacted very quickly dodged, followed by the seal on his hands, and a water dragon rose up into the air and rushed towards him. This is just the first killer move. The key is still. As soon as Ri Shangtao dodged the water dragon bullet, he saw that Jing Yi was extremely fast and went directly behind him. Shadow dance leaves. Then, kick. Ri Shangtao was kicked out directly, knocking down several trees along the way. If Orochimaru didn't use the earth escape to help him weaken the impact, he might have to fly for a while. At this time, Ri Shangtao was in a coma and suffered heavy injuries. Ruined. Orochimaru was surprised and looked at Jing Yi in surprise. Ri Shangtao is an elite who joined Anbu from the Hyuga branch. He was seconded by him and his strength is not weak, but he was beaten by Jing Yi, and he lost his combat power with just one kick. This blow is too terrible. Definitely used some kind of special physique. New technique again. Jing Yi-kun, you really gave me too many surprises. Orochimaru was excited. He had a feeling of meeting a bosom friend. Are you Lord Orochimaru? Kyoichi said. I know it's me, but I only have a shadow clone. Jing Yi-kun, I'm a Sannin after all. Orochimaru smiled. Jing Yi has seen him on the battlefield. As long as he pays more attention, it is not difficult to detect some of his own characteristics, such as licking your lips. Damn habit, but recognize it, recognize it. He wasn't too discouraged. Compared with mere tasks, he appreciates Jing Yi's innovative ability and talent more. This is a genius just like himself. A big snake appeared. It carried Hugatao on its back and quickly headed for somewhere in the Forest of Death. I'm very curious about the technique just now. Can you explain it to me? Orochimaru knew that Jing Yi had started a special physical technique just now, and the speed was a little faster than usual, and now he couldn't catch up at all. Instead of wasting time, it was better to satisfy his curiosity. I didn't create the one just now, but learned it from someone else. 8-door Dunjia. Shadow Clone smiled. Orochimaru didn't want to do it, and he was so happy. How good would it be for everyone to sit down and communicate? And, he was sure that the 3rd generation must be peaking. This is a good opportunity to make a name for Mad Day. 8. Indeed. Interesting. I didn't expect Konoha to have a genius to study such physical skills, but there should be more than this one, right? Orochimaru's eyes were full of excitement. Konoha talks about all kinds of research, and now even 3 generations can't compare to him. 8 theories, he naturally knows. Although Jing Yi's technique is obscure and concealed by the breadth of the 8 doors, he can still deduce that Jing Yi has opened the door at most, according to the ability to open the door. It was simply not enough to defeat Hai Shangtao with one blow. Bagua empty palm, earth spear, Orochimaru muttered to himself. He sorted out his thoughts and continued to deduce it, and found that it was probably a kind of earth escape ninjutsu. Earth spear, everything can't be hidden from Lord Orochimaru. It's amazing, you can open the 8 armors, and you can maintain the state of the soil spear at the same time. Your chakra control ability must be very strong. Orochimaru sighed again and again. He had to admit that Jing Yi was the most talented young man he had met over the years. Namaifeng Minato was also very talented, but not the type that Orochimaru liked. Kanda Keiichi is. He vaguely felt that Kanda Kyoichi knew more than that. I really want to fight with you, but unfortunately, I'm the chief examiner this time. It would be too embarrassing to fight you with all my strength. Orochimaru sighed. He showed his sincerity and didn't make another move. Next moment, he saw not far away, black worms filled the sky. Obviously, Jing Yi had fought with the oil girl's family. Passing by Jing Yi's shadow clone, Orochimaru whispered, Jing Yi-kun, next time we have a chance, let's have a good chat. Oil girl Fei will not be the opponent of Jing Yi. He is so sure. Yes. Chapter 20 Danzo, you go. The other side, Oil girl Fei got the scroll and ran to the finish line immediately. However, he didn't run far before the bug informed the situation. Kanda Kyoichi is here, so fast. The oil girl Fei was secretly shocked. Lord Orochimaru and Hai Shangtao failed to stop each other. How can it be? But, there was no time to shock him. Jing Yi has already caught up. He must stop the other party and take the scroll to the final destination by the way. Bad insects fly out. The worms all over the sky swept away like a black mist towards Kanda Jing Yi, but something that surprised him happened. The other party ignored the worms and rushed out with a layer of soil chakra. So fast, he quickened his pace, but how can it compare to Jing Yi? There is no need to activate the first activity or the 8 armors, just relying on the instant body technique. Jing Yi is enough to crush the oil girl Fei. Oil girl Fei just took a few steps when the newly separated worm sensed. The other party came. Bang, whirlwind of leaves. With one foot, oil girl Fei's body turned into a pile of bugs. Insect substitute, as expected. The next moment, his hands formed a seal, and a water dragon took off. Boom, with a sound, a big hole was directly smashed into the ground. Oil girl Fei staggered out from the side. As he ran, he coughed violently. A little hurt, special. This water dragon bomb is too powerful, right? However, the next moment, the other party has caught up. Oil girl Fei did not give up, but Jing Yi didn't show mercy. He was very decisive and kicked him away with one kick. You don't know each other. What's your hand? Oil girl Fei vomited blood and couldn't run. Jing seized his ninja gear, then took the scroll and separated a shadow clone on the spot. Clone will give you simple treatment. When he ran to the end, he had already figured out a little in his heart. Orochimaru mentioned the chief examiner. It can be seen that this exam, he did not sneak in like in the comics, but sneaked in openly, or. This is an additional question. Give yourself a question. Kyungsu knew. He defeated Oil Girl Fei and Hai Shangtao by himself. At present, the most important obstacle has been eliminated, and Orochimaru gave up tracking, which means that he recognized his strength. The additional questions are completed, and the Shengen is basically stable. The third level, not important at all. At the end, he overlapped the reels. Soon, Kyoichi-kun, we meet again. Orochimaru appeared. This is a clone, but he obviously wanted to chat with Jingyi, so he didn't cancel the clone immediately, but smiled and said, Jingyi-kun, I am the chief examiner this time. Do you know why you were the only one being chased by me? Tekuno and another senior from the oil lady's family were promoted because of their merits in the battlefield. Senior Baiyun's words, if I guess correctly, it should be someone from Lord Hokage. I am the only one who has insufficient military achievements. Keiichi said, ha ha ha, yes, you are very good. Orochimaru smiled, really, smart people understand without saying. Thank you very much for keeping your hand, otherwise how could I catch up with the oil girl Fei? Jingyi wasn't so proud that Orochimaru only had so much. The opponent definitely didn't do his best. If nothing else, ninjutsu is basically useless, and more of it is physical combat. A master of ninjutsu like Orochimaru fights with taijutsu. What is it not to release water? Ha ha ha, go to the Hokage building and take the third test. Quote. Orochimaru disappeared. Jingyi lowered his head and followed him towards the Hokage building. The exam is over. As he thought, it doesn't matter if there is a third game, the focus is on this second game, which is full of traps, pursuits and tasks. The problem is that there are 3 more people. When I came to the Hokage building, the 3 generations were already waiting. Except for Jingyi, all 3 of Baiyun passed through in the morning. Grown-ups, okay, you all passed the second exam, especially Kanda Keiichi. It was beyond my expectations. It can be said that I didn't expect you to do so well. Sarutobi Hijin smiled. He originally only thought that Jingyi would definitely pass the test, but he didn't expect too much. In the end, he never expected that Jingyi was not only strong, but the comprehensive quality required by Sharingan was not bad at all, even stronger than many Sharingan. In addition, Kyoichi also taught himself the knowledge of medical ninjutsu. A comprehensive and perfect leading teacher. Thank you, Lord Huying. Kyoichi bowed his thanks. Takuno looked around, scratched his head and said blankly, Sir, the third exam. There's no third exam. Sarutobi Hizan smiled. From today onwards, you will be the village's Junin. Except for Tekuno, the other 3 were not surprised. In the morning, Baiyun and the Yunu clan had news that this time it was just a passing scene, and it was more of a formality, while Jingyi had already guessed. With so many people, he was surrounded by 3 people. Apparently for him, and clearly why. Thousands of blood vessels. ... Have you got it? No, he is very strong. The thousand-handed clan, even if intermarriage and intergenerational, still possesses a very terrifying power, which is truly awe-inspiring. Orochimaru was engaged in the research at hand, and his eyes were full of excitement. Thousand-handed physique. After many years, we can see its glory again. You didn't even get it. Danzo frowned, rather unhappy. You were making fun of me. Sanin is this. As the chief examiner, my duty is to take the exam. Since he has enough strength, I can't deliberately make it difficult. Tanzo, if you're in a hurry, why don't you do it yourself? Orochimaru sneered and glanced at him. Use him as a gunner. He sneered and said, Sir Danzo, I'm only interested in Kanda Kyoichi, that's why I'm the chief examiner in charge of the test, and help you by the way. If you really want to blame, it's because your subordinates are too incompetent. Ri Shangtao was hit hard. Oil Girl Fei had no resistance at all, and was chased and ran from beginning to end, just thinking about completing the task and preventing Jingyi from becoming a Jonin. My subordinates are not good at doing things, and trouble me. Do you really think I'm so annoying? A trace of killing intent flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. I am also thinking about cell research. Since it is a bit troublesome, I will look at it later. Anyway, there are many opportunities. Why should we argue? Danzo narrowed his eyes, and then a smile appeared on his face. Orochimaru said a word, and then studied for himself. He and Danzo get what they need. If Danzo really felt that he was a little too high, he wouldn't be polite to Danzo. And, teacher during the day, in Orochimaru's mind, the words of Hiruzen Sarutobi came to mind. Does he know anything? Should not be. Although he is now using a secretly hidden prisoner, if the teacher knows, it will definitely not be as simple as a lighthearted beating. That sentence should be referring to Kanda Keiichi. Then I'll go first. Tuanzang is leaving. At the door, Orochimaru's voice came. I advise you not to have any thoughts about him recently. Be careful that the old man is looking for you. He is not old and faint yet, and he will never bear the price for you.